Hey there, and welcome back. Today we're looking at a moment in Scripture that's both inspiring and challenging, the call of Abram. Now, this isn't just some ancient tale buried in history. It's a story about stepping into the unknown, taking risks, facing fear, and learning how to trust God in real life, not just in theory. Imagine being told to pack up everything, your home, your job, your family life, and head off to a place you've never seen, with zero details other than promise that something better is waiting. That's the situation Abram was in. No map, no timeline, no guarantee, just faith. And he went. That kind of obedience hits differently when you think about your own life, doesn't it? But here's the twist. Even after answering God's call, Abram runs into serious trouble. Hunger, fear, pressure, and he doesn't always make the best choices. Yet God doesn't give up on him. And that's what makes this story so human. It's not about being perfect. It's about being willing. So here's the question I want you to sit with as we dive into today's episode. If God asked you to let go of what's familiar and follow him into something completely unknown, would you go? Let's get into it. Genesis 12, modern-day interpretation. The call of Abram. One day, God spoke to Abram, who would later be known as Abraham, and said, "Leave your home, your family, and everything familiar behind. I'll show you where to go. It'll be a place you've never seen, but I have plans for you there." God promised Abram, "I will build a great nation through you. I will bless you and make your name known. You'll be a blessing to others. I'll bless those who are good to you and stand against those who try to harm you. And through you, every person on earth will eventually be blessed." Without hesitation, Abram obeyed. At the age of 75, he left the city of Haran with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their belongings, including servants and livestock. They traveled to the land of Canaan, the place God had promised to show him. When they arrived, God appeared to Abram and said, "This land will one day belong to your children." In response, Abram built an altar to honor God. He continued moving through the region, setting up camp between Bethel and Ai, and again built an altar there to call on God. Eventually, he journeyed south to a region called the Negev, Abram in Egypt. Soon after, a severe famine hit the land. Food was scarce, and people were struggling. So Abram made the decision to head to Egypt to survive until things improved. Before they arrived, Abram turned to Sarai and said, "You're a beautiful woman. If the Egyptians find out you're my wife, they might kill me to take you. So please, tell them you're my sister. It'll keep me safe." Sarai agreed, and when they arrived in Egypt, word spread quickly about her beauty. Pharaoh's officials noticed her and brought her to Pharaoh's palace. Because of her, Pharaoh treated Abram very well. He gave him livestock, servants, and other wealth. But God wasn't okay with the deception. He sent plagues and illnesses on Pharaoh and his household because Sarai was, in fact, Abram's wife. Eventually, Pharaoh called Abram out. "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why lie and let this happen? Take your wife and leave." Pharaoh gave orders for Abram and Sarai to be escorted out of Egypt with all their possessions. Even though Abram made a mistake by trying to protect himself through dishonesty, God still had his hand on Abram's journey. This is my interpretation of the text. Genesis 12 is a major turning point in the Bible. It marks the beginning of God's covenant journey with humanity through Abram. God doesn't give Abram all the details. He just says, "Go and I'll show you." That takes real faith. Abram had to leave behind his comfort zone, his family, and everything familiar. But he trusted that God had something greater in store, even if he couldn't see it yet. What stands out is that God's promise wasn't just about blessing Abram. It was about blessing others through him. God made it clear, you will be a blessing. This reminds us that the blessings we receive aren't just for us. They're meant to flow through us to others. Then we see Abram in Egypt facing fear. Even though he was walking in God's promise, he panicked when he thought his life might be in danger. Instead of trusting God, he tried to take control by asking Sarai to lie. It backfired, but even in that failure, God protected him. That's powerful. God doesn't abandon us when we mess up. He still works through our weaknesses. This chapter reminds us that faith is a journey. It involves trusting God even when the path doesn't make sense, and learning from our mistakes along the way. God's purpose isn't canceled by our failures. He continues to lead us, shape us, and guide us forward. Here is a life example for our modern times. Imagine someone today who feels led to leave their job or move to a new city without a clear plan, just a deep sense that they're meant for something greater. Maybe it's to start a business, pursue ministry, or support their family in a new way. It's scary. There's no roadmap, no guarantees. But like Abram, they choose to step out in faith. Along the way, fear creeps in, bills pile up, people question their decision, and obstacles appear. They may even make a few mistakes trying to protect themselves or control the outcome. But if they stay focused on the bigger purpose and keep trusting God, they'll look back and see how far they've come, not just in distance, but in growth. This is a call to action for all of us. This chapter calls each of us to step into the unknown with faith. Whether it's a new job, a personal transformation, or letting go of something that's no longer serving us, God invites us to follow, not with all the answers, but with trust. Are you willing to leave your comfort zone if it means walking into something better? Let this story remind you that fear and faith often walk side by side. You may not feel ready, but if God is calling you, He will equip you. And even when you stumble, He won't abandon you. His plan is bigger than your mistakes, and His promise is still alive in your life. If this story speaks to you, like this episode, subscribe for more faith-centered inspiration. Comment your thoughts or what part of Abram's journey you're wrestling with, and share this with someone who could use these words today. I hope you'll join me next time as we keep uncovering purpose and hope through these timeless stories. Until then, walk forward with faith.